So I'm Marianne. I'm from For Our Kids, Ottawa Gatineau, and today I'm going to kind of talk about our recruitment and engagement strategies, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So a little bit about For Our Kids Ottawa. We were formed in March 2020, right before COVID shut us down. We had a small kitchen party at my house where Lella was able to come. We had parents, they brought their kids, and we just chatted, and it was really amazing. That sense of connection was immediate. And I was like, this is great. We're going to do this. And then COVID came and blah. So we decided that once we met, we were going to merge with an existing Facebook group of parents. There's about 300 parents there. For good or for bad, I'm not sure, because I think those parents were kind of interested more in like personal changes. So low waste, veganism. I think we are potentially dragging them kicking and streaming towards more advocacy and more systemic changes. And I'm not sure how many of them want to do that. So our primary communication right now is through this private Facebook group. So that means that you can't share posts out of the group, which has its own advantages and disadvantages. We're hoping that makes people more likely to share internally, but then they can't necessarily share with their friends very easily. We have about 5 core leads of moms who help with the tasks and that we meet monthly. And then the other ways of interacting are that we have a Twitter account. We have a Facebook page, which is outward facing. So that's where we put things that we want other people to share. We have an Instagram account that I'm trying to keep up, but it's kind of fallen behind. We have a web page that is more stagnant. It's not as agile or flexible, but it's more for those complicated actions, those multi-step actions. And then we send out a monthly newsletter, just an email to kind of summarize what we're working on. So the good. The Facebook group is now at 460 members. So we've seen almost about 150 members join us in the past year, which is really amazing. Our newsletter reaches actually almost a slightly different group than our Facebook group does, and that has about 150 individuals. On Twitter, we follow about 1,200 people. But that's not to say 12,000 K, that's 1,200. And we follow about 350. What's great about Twitter is that we have a broader representation of cultures and race and gender. So we have a lot more males on our Twitter account, whereas our Facebook group is mostly females. We might have maybe, okay, I'll find them in a minute, my love. Now, the reason Twitter got really big is grandmothers act to save the planet. You found a marker, thank you. They kind of took us under the wing and gave us some few tips. And so they said, find a group that you like and then follow who they follow. And then like a lot of tweets from people that you like. And then comment on those posts. So previously I had just been retweeting or quote tweeting, so adding a little thing and then quoting. But the problem is that only gets my followers to see that. Whereas if I comment on somebody else's post, then all of their followers will see all of our excellent posts and say, hey, who are these FOK Ottawa Gatineau people? We want to follow them. And then the other thing that we've been doing is we've been direct messaging tweets that we post out that we want to share with people. And that just helps to cut through the noise, because you can get on Twitter and then forget what you were even there. So if you do a direct message, you can say, okay, this is the one that I want other people to share. And it really helps to build the following. And then how do we, when we have our members, how do we work on a call to action? So we've been attempting on Facebook to limit it to 2 actions per month, but we're failing. I'm constantly fighting fires and be like, oh, we should do this. And because we cover municipal, provincial, and federal, and there's lots to cover on all of those levels, we've been kind of struggling at our messaging. So knowing that, we've been trying to group our Facebook posts by topic, particularly if they're complicated ones like Bill C-12. So we're multiple we find that for our group, if you write a template email and share them, that's more likely to get success. What's interesting is if we need to almost share them in the post or in the comments, and not actually as a Google link, it's almost that extra click, even though it's just 1 click, is enough to kind of stop people from taking the action. And then when we have a complex topic such as Bill C-12, so you see the image here, we put that on our webpage. So we're saying, here's 5 things to do. You can sign our letter, you can send an email, you can call your MP. We really try to make it as simple as we can to distill it down to actionable steps. We tried a variety of ways. So here we, on the right-hand side, you'll see there's a video that I tried to see if maybe videos would simplify the message. And we're trying to encourage people to contact their MPs, and we will help them do that. But I think that that's kind of scary for a lot of people. So how do we engage our members? Because it's COVID, I think trying to get that community feel is so difficult. So we've been trying to do a variety of ways to build that community online. So one is we have monthly welcome posts where we name the people, we tell them about our newsletters, we tell them about our Twitter accounts, we say, hey, here's our welcome call, tell us why you joined. We have Tell Us About It Tuesdays, where we're kind of sharing our own mini successes. So whether those are systemic changes or those are personal changes, right now they're almost exclusively personal changes, but that's okay. You got some mud. That's great. On the weekends, we've been trying to do recaps. So, targeting our most important messages or actions. And there's mud in the birdseed? Okay, what are you gonna do about it? Sorry, I got two kids out here. And so we're really, with our recaps, we're trying to do a permanent link to the action, so they don't have to scroll through our Facebook posts. Because we have so many people on our group, which is great, they're constantly putting things up there, but then our messages get lost and get buried. And so we're trying to allow people on the weekend, when they might have 3 more minutes of time, to be able to get that stuff down. In terms of education, we really find trying to pick a time and say, hey, let's watch this or let's learn about this is really not working in our group, because we're just all over the map in terms of times. So we've put together a watch list Wednesday where we put, webinars or recorded things where people can just learn on their own speed. One thing I would love to do with that is make a YouTube channel so that people can not have to keep on trying to find these things. They can just go to the next YouTube file. One thing I have been trying to do now is whenever we get, you've been assigned to this point this person through the web page, to try to send them an email and just say, like, welcome to the group. My name is Marianne. Did you know that we have a Facebook page? Did you know that we have a Twitter account? Did you know that you can sign up through your newsletter? And just try to engage them right away. And then how do we recruit new members? We've been trying to kind of mirror what For Our Kids National was doing with their welcome sessions, and say, okay, maybe we can try to get the ball rolling by actually welcoming people. So we have these virtual welcome sessions. We've been sharing them outwardly to all different Facebook groups, parent groups, environmental groups, and say, hey, come and join us. We've recently been trying to post things in parenting. So here's a post that somebody wrote about the Seaspiracy. We have a marine conservation person in our group. So we're like, hey, come out to our group and have this conversation, because you'll learn a lot. Yes, my love. You can eat one candy, but you find one for you and find one for your brother. Okay.
But there's only one of these.
Okay, we'll find another one for your brother then. Okay, wonderful. And then on Twitter, we have this pinned post where we're just really trying to say who we are. If you're in Ottawa, you're in Gatineau, there's ways to contact us. Come and join us. We want you there. So that all sounds good. There's so much stuff going on. Here's the bad. Yeah, Leanna's going to find you a gummy. Facebook takes a lot of time. So this is one of the reasons I kind of hesitated with Lella about making this presentation, is because I don't really like Facebook. I find Facebook is its own little monster, because people are like, oh, I'm active. I joined this group on Facebook. And that's not the action that we want as For Our Kids, right? We want people doing things outside of Facebook, and it just takes a lot of time. So these weekend recaps, which I think are really important, I don't know where the week goes, but I'm already on like Sunday and I've missed the weekend recap. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry guys, here's your week of activities. Our calls to action get lost among all the other posts, and it's really hard to search on Facebook. So you might be like, hey, I think I was supposed to do something about C12, and then you just can't find that post again. And for that same reason, Facebook isn't really designed for that multi-level steps. Facebook is really great about, showing pictures, showing images, maybe inspiring, but to get people to maybe come back and do something, it's not that great. That's not what people are there for Facebook for. They're doom scrolling or hope scrolling or just scrolling past. I find that our core group is getting overwhelmed because we're trying so many ways to engage people. just so that we can get more of our core group and so that we can do more things. But we're kind of in this weird lineup. And the weird thing is I'm starting to feel like a hypocrite because I actually don't have the time to do the action I'm trying to encourage people to do. Like I still haven't emailed my bank manager for the stupid bank action. I'm like, okay, what at one time I'm going to be able to do that. And I'm telling everybody else to do it and I still haven't done it. And so that was the bad. And so here's the ugly. How effective are we actually? So we have all these posts and even the simple ones like the Tell Us About It Tuesdays, out of 460 members and 160 of them are new. Like in the last year, we get maybe 10 comments. Now, some of that is algorithms of Facebook because it gets lost. It doesn't get in your notification feed, but it's still pretty low. We had calls to action where we publicly asked people to demonstrate in very, very simple ways. Like you can go out on your street, you can post a sign on your front porch, you can come with us. We're all going to be wearing masks. And we got very little traction. We got maybe 1 to 2 people outside of the core group. Now, I know that it's COVID and that's going to play a factor, but obviously there's something that maybe we're just not getting across or we're not connecting with the people. Our newsletter stats are doing pretty okay, considering I think the standard is if you get 16% of people clicking on it, you're doing good. So we're at 30 to 40%. So yay. But that next step where they're supposed to click and do something, we're at 5%. So again, close, but not quite there. We were really excited with our welcome sessions, the virtual ones. We've had 4 of them so far at different times, at lunch, in the morning, at night. And generally we get 1 or 2 new people come. Sometimes you get 0. The ones I'm involved in generally get 0. It's a very strange dynamic, but and ironically, what we've noticed is the 1 to 2 that do come are ones that we have already actually engaged with. So this welcome session was supposed to be that first intro to the group to really be like, hey, it's really casual, come and meet some parents, learn about the group. And so there's been a few times where somebody has messaged me and said, can we talk? And so then I call them. And those are the people that are now coming to this welcome session, which is great, but I don't have time to call the 160 members and individually get them to feel comfortable participating. So that might sound bad, that might sound negative, but the thing is you never really know the impact you can have. So I have this little diagram of the penguins. I feel like we're the penguins on the iceberg right now, right? And we only see the other penguins that are on the iceberg and we ignore all the other things that's underneath, that's buried, that we can't see. So maybe that post inspired them to do something else. Maybe that post, they sent the email. 1 second, kiddo. I'm glad you found them. Maybe they've sent that MP and they just haven't told us. Maybe they talked to somebody else and that somebody else did something different. We did a recent survey where we asked people, what, I don't know if you can see all of it, if that matters. But we kind of said, by joining this group, what kind of effect have you had? And so a lot of people are feeling a little bit more hopeful. They're feeling a little bit more connected. They're not feeling alone. Some of them are a little bit motivated to contact their MPs. So we're kind of making that a little bit simpler. And we do know that parents are writing and meeting with their elected officials. So that's the end of my really, really fast presentation. But I think this is now kind of, I'll let Lella continue this, but it's really, what works for you? Do you keep track of engagement? How do you engage? And then once you have those volunteers, what I would love to know is like, how do you then mobilize them? How do you get them to do something beyond just being on Facebook?